Exactly. You may have also seen this week Norfolk police. There was a Norfolk policeman who was having a conversation with what I assume from the video was
one of his relatives,
an anti-abortion, an anti.
Sorry,
Norfolk incest joke there, Abby.
Sorry.
Norfolk policeman who was explaining, I don't know if you saw the video, explaining to this anti-abortion protester that holding his banner, being offensive, making offensive remarks in a protest was equivalent to assault, equivalent to punching someone in the face. What did the banner
actually say?
I don't know.
You know
but you could tell from the video that it was something to do with abortion. And the guy on the other side was like, I'm protesting peacefully, I'm being very reasonable. And what was interesting about this, which also relates to the climate protesters and so on, is that the subjectivity of this policeman. He was just stating his own opinion as if his own opinion was the law. And he was saying that the guy who was protesting said, well, what if I am offended by the blue checks on your uniform? And the policeman said, well, that would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you could see that from what he was saying, he was just saying, because I think that that what you're saying is offensive. He said that that it could trigger trauma. And that we live in a society now where you know that your words could trigger trauma, and that is equivalent to punching someone in the face.
My God, China must be looking at us and absolutely, they must be laughing their heads off. Right. With us navel-gazing about words equal violence.
So will the Russians.
And the Russians, yes, and Iran.
But from a policing perspective, surely this is total chaos, because nobody really knows. The policemen don't even seem to know what the law is.
Well, they don't.
And the police are selectively policing. We've seen selective policing for months now.
The judges have said in terms, nobody has the right not to be offended. I mean, that is actually...
Causing offence is not an offence.
Been as a judgment. Yeah, and yet the police don't seem to have absorbed that.
But is this a problem with the policemen themselves, the policemen on the ground?
The institution.
Or is it a problem with the bosses in the police?
It's the problem.
That they're not adequately trained to even understand what the law is.
I think it's the police college and the training that's there.
It's common purpose. Has a lot to answer for. This little, the Marxist tentacles, going through the sort of the long march, little tentacles going through, which includes things like words equal violence. And if you hear that often enough, you'll believe it. And I think that's what happens.
You see the police misrepresenting the law, like they did when they had that big slogan on the back of a bus where they said being offensive is an offence or something to that effect.
That was actually not the law. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They're sort of rewriting it in their own image. I mean, I think I said a few months ago, we are in sort of Maoist, very strange territory here.
It's this the plague of subjectivity, because, like with the college, you mentioned the College of Policing, they are an unaccountable quango that came up with an entirely new category of recording of non-crime hate incidents, which was what the policeman Harry Miller had on his record, with the famous police phoning him up and saying they were going to check his sinking. That they're recording these non-crime hate incidents.
I thought you said check his sinking for a minute. Harry, are you there? All you can hear is the bubbling down the phone. Sorry, check his thinking, not his check whether he's sinking.
Yeah, so they've created this entire category of reporting. This is not something that Parliament has agreed. But yet it's something that can go on your record and show up in an advanced DBS check. It just seems as if the police have forgotten what the police are supposed to do. You're like, that slogan that's become overused.
We live in a free society. That's what they've forgotten.
I'm not sure we do anymore.
Well, maybe not. But what they have forgotten is that they are supposed to be policing on the basis that we live in a free society.
Yes.
And that just does not apply now. And it's not only in policing, it doesn't apply anywhere. And unless your views match state orthodoxy, you're going to be penalised for having them.
Yeah.
And I don't believe any citizen should have a record of any sort unless it has been imposed by a court.
But is this a problem not just to do with the police, but also to do with the culture around law?
It's in all institutions
We've
now.
been seeing for years and years this habit of legislating for things where there is already legislation in place, or even the Scottish Hate Crime Bill is a perfect example of this. The idea that you can, and it's very Orwellian, that you can legislate people's hearts and minds. So like with the Scottish Hate Crime Bill, and now with the proposals in Northern Ireland for a similar hate crime bill, they want to bring in legislation that will, as they put it, make Scotland a nicer place, make Scotland a better place. But the implication of that is that they want to moderate your speech with the intention to moderate your thought.
They want to suppress your speech.
Well, the whole, and
Yes.
it is Orwellian
Yes.
in the
It is.
deepest, most basic sense, because the whole point is that they want to try and make people think more nicely.
Yeah.
They're trying to affect.
I'll
your
tell you who's to blame
thoughts.
for this. Julia Middleton, who started Common Purpose, the daughter of a Marxist, then she became a Marxist, and this has been going on for 25, maybe more years, where they do courses that you go on, and it's all this is what it's led to is a total reimagining
But
of
what
society.
I
She's one of the people.
What I don't get is this, and I really don't get this. The vast majority of the population are where you and I are on this. They want free speech. They believe that as long as you're not committing any crime, you can hold what opinions you like, and providing you don't do it in a way which generates violence, you can state those opinions. And if you go out and you do any public opinion poll, people want free speech.
That's right.
And yet the establishment, the whole of the establishment, is conspiring to prevent free speech.
Yes.
And even free thought, if only it could.
Yeah.
How intentional do you think it is, though? Is it just sleepwalking into it because there's this culture
us
is
or the
trying-
institutions?
with the institutions?
Oh no, it's deliberate.
So I think
Absolutely
I
deliberate.
mean in Scotland, I think it's probably quite deliberate. I think that's what they're intending to do. But do you think that it's a change in culture? It's something in the zeitgeist.
I think it varies. I
Yeah.
think sometimes you're right. I think
It was
quite
started
deliberate.
way back, didn't it?
But I also think that there is an awful lot of sleepwalking, that people are just absorbing a message, this is nice and that's not. And we'll always have what's nice, and we can't hear from what's not nice. And I think people have sleptwalked into it, but we've got a government. We've got a government. Now, what is it going to do? And the answer at the moment seems to be nothing.
Well, and also the government are all common purposed up to the hilt as well. It's got everywhere. It's infected everything. This whole, which is one of their things in common purpose. I only know because my late husband knew a lot about it, and sort of he worked in government, and he saw the effect of it. But one of their sort of mantras is act beyond your authority. And again, if you hear that often enough, it doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, look at someone like Cressida Dick. Or Sadiq Khan, for that matter.
This is a point that goes all the way back to John Stuart Mill and what the limits of the state should be. It seems that every single institution no longer knows what that institution's purpose is. They don't see themselves as part of a delicate ecosystem where each part has a function. They keep trying to go beyond that remit. Like I was saying with over-legislating.
Acting beyond your authority.
Government institutions no longer know what they're supposed to be doing. They don't know what their limits are. They don't recognise the importance of their limits for protecting people's freedom. Because they think that they can just expand and expand and expand more and more into people's lives and into their heads.
Yes. And the sort of feelings matter more than facts. The fact that I'm sort of really upset.
Patricia from Bournemouth says, policemen need to be reminded of the playground rhyme, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Indeed.
Whatever happened to that? I remember that from primary school. That's a mantra that I still live by.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but you can always find something to offend a feminist. That's what I quite like.
Classic Peter
We've just
Lloyd.
lost Patricia from Bournemouth
Peter Lloyd.
has logged off.
We've also got a comment here from Max from Edgbaston. I hope I'm saying that correctly.
Yes, you are.
I find the policeman's stupidity to be offensive. Can I ask for him to be charged with assault, please?
For his
As far as I'm
check.
concerned, they should be charged with dereliction of duty.
Yes.
A whole lot of them.
Exactly.